Chapter 144, Ancient Cultivator's Cave Abode. He was not able to look inside the huge shit, but they had landed in the depths of the Thousand Poisons mountain range. Different types of poisons ran rampant in this mountain range for thousands of miles. According to the memories of the blood-robed old ghost, there were no powerful cultivation sects present here more than 1,000 years ago, and naturally, there were also none now. Usually, there would only be a few people who cultivated poison techniques who would enter to search for poisons. There were also some smaller sects who used poisons to refine poisonous artifacts for a living. As for the reason, it was mainly because there was very little spiritual chi in this mountain range. There were no spirit veins, and it was a place that also had a miasmic atmosphere. The latter was nothing to those who cultivated the Tao of poison, but the former had a huge impact. Without rich spiritual chi, especially without a spiritual vein, it could not support the development of a large sect. According to Haiduzi's memories, there's a rather powerful ancient cultivator's cave abode inside. Could it be because of this that this place has become unsuitable for the development of a sect? Sanchi was deep in thought. He felt that the various sects of the demonic sects had gathered here not only to fight with great Jin, but also for another unknown reason. Otherwise, why didn't they choose a city with a better environment or just a normal mountain range? Instead, they chose such a place. While he was thinking, a circle of fluctuation suddenly erupted in the depths of the Thousand Poisons mountain range. As the ground shook, a grayish-black mushroom cloud bloomed. Sanchi was stunned. He felt the terrifying aura that far exceeded the golden core realm for a moment before it disappeared in a flash. Rumble, gusts of strong wind swept over, shattering the vegetation. Rocks the size of heads flew up and spread out with a circular chaotic storm. What happened? Liu was shocked. She widened her eyes and looked into the distance. She could only see some black dots escaping from the center of the storm and retreating quickly. The terrifying aftershock arrived in front of them in the blink of an eye. The huge ship behind them released a circle of black energy to block the aftershock. The Supreme Kraken ship, which was more than 1,000 feet long, also seemed very small under this storm. It was like a reef in the waves, actually even smaller than a reef, and it began to shake violently from the vast power. Fortunately, the aftershock was not to specially target anyone. After passing by, it did not stop and continued to sweep into the distance. The mountain that was originally covered in a layer of vegetation was instantly skinned, revealing the yellowish-brown soil. The entire mountain range had become bald on the spot. Old Man Nightmare looked solemnly at the source of the aftershock. They've already taken action so quickly. Cough cough. I'm not too sure either. I only heard the sect master mention that there might be ancient cultivator ruins present in this mountain range. Old Man Nightmare shook his head. Swish swish swish. One black dot after another approached the ship Sanchi was in. In a flash, they arrived in front of him and transformed into several powerful figures that appeared out of thin air. Sanchi's pupils constricted. What kind of speed was this? How could they be so fast even in the void? Nascent Soul and Marshal Da Emperor. Sanchi speculated that these people's auras were far above the Golden Core realm. He had only felt similar auras from Ziyu. These people stayed in the air for a moment as if they were discussing something. Then, they flew back to their campsite. 3 people came to Sanchi's side. The person in front was a middle-aged man in a long black robe. There were chains wrapped around his waist, and his body was suffused with a strange black fog. He walked in the air and looked mysterious. He looked at this person with an aura as deep as the sea. Although he was expressionless, there was a hint of seriousness in his gaze. This person should be the sect master of the Heavenly Ghost sect, Wuxia. He was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator and was not even as old as the blood-robed old ghost. He had only cultivated for 600 years and could be considered a cultivation genius. His 9-nether soul-locking technique was famous. He could be considered to be a magnet in the various demonic sects. Among the 2 people beside him, there was a gray-robed old man on the left. His body was also wrapped in a ball of black fog. His wrinkled old face was half smiling and his eyes flickered. Sanchi's gaze froze. He felt that this old man's cultivation level was also at the nascent soul realm. There were actually 2 nascent soul realm cultivators in the Heavenly Ghost sect. As far as he knew, only the Yaomun Palace had 2 nascent souls before Ziyu. In comparison, The cultivation of the youth on the right was much weaker. However, this person looked to be only in his early 30s, and yet his cultivation was already at the Golden Core realm. According to the 800 years of lifespan of the Golden Core realm, this person should only be a few hundred years old. From his expression, however, he did not look old. Hence, he should not be too old. Moreover, this person was handsome and had a tall figure. Other than his cold temperament, he seemed like he would be easy to talk to. He stepped on a short green saber that was wrapped in bright light. It was a Dharma treasure. He probably used it to speed up and catch up to the other two. "Dad." Seeing the middle-aged man, Wuxia called out affectionately. She jumped on the ground and arrived in front of him, holding his arm. Wuxia, who had a serious expression just now, immediately looked gentler. He glanced at his daughter. "Wuxia, don't go out and run around for the time being. The ancient cultivator's cave abode has already appeared. Demons and ghosts will gather. It will be very dangerous to travel alone. Wuxia understand?" Wuxia said coquettishly and secretly glanced at Songshi. She realized that this guy was calm like an ancient well, as if he was not afraid of her complaining about him to her dad at all. She could not help but feel a little angry. She clenched her fists tightly, but in the end, she held it in and did not let her father help her vent her anger. "Sect Master, Grand Elder, Old Man Nightmare Bode, Miss, and I have already invited him back. It's this person, I've seen it." Wuxia and the other two were sized up Songshi. They were a little surprised that the blood-robed old ghost was so young. "Are you sure?" has the blood-robed old ghost. Wuxia was a little suspicious. Although he had never seen the blood-robed old ghost, he only roughly knew how the other party looked. This person's and appearance did not appear like a demon at all. "Sect Master, this is his possessed body. Furthermore, he has just completed the possession and hasn't had the time to change his cultivation pathways." Old Man Nightmare explained the reason. "Oh, that must be him then." Wuxia nodded and looked at Songshi. "Fellow Taoist blood robes, let's talk on the shit." He naturally could not discuss the matter of recruitment here. He had to be polite. "Brother blood robes, from the looks of it, you found a genius to possess. Aren't you afraid of offending some powerful faction?" The gray-robed old man said, in surprise. He was slightly older than blood robes and could be considered a person of the same generation as the blood-robed old ghost. Therefore, when he first saw Songshi, he felt that it was as if he was a stranger. If not for the special Dharma treasures at his waist, he would have thought that someone was using the blood-robed old ghost's Dharma treasure to play tricks on him. "Brother Ghost Butcher, have you seen the person I looked like before, in Great Jin?" Songshi asked in return. This old man's real name was Tuan. His nickname was Ghost Butcher, and he was now respectfully addressed as Perfected Lord Ghost Butcher. In the cultivation world, most people had nicknames. Some of them were obtained by their process of breaking through, while others were chosen by themselves. As for their real names, when their cultivation was high, they would generally not use them. In fact, some people did not even use their real names anymore. This way, they could avoid many troubles. "I have indeed never." Ghost Butcher nodded and looked to the side. "Qianya, you've interacted more with the younger generation of cultivators. Have you seen a genius like him before?" The young man shook his head. "I'm very familiar with the genius cultivators of the various sects. I'm sure that there is no such genius in Great Jin. As for where he came from, since Sir Blood Robes has possessed him, he should know very well."